a feature now where if I highlight these fonts, let's say I wait, you got to wait a little bit. So you use the type tool, you highlight a character in the font itself, and this little submenu pops up, and you have these alternates in the submenu. Sometimes when you go over, you have to, depends on the character that you go over if it has that submenu. But for example, let me do the uppercase letters here. Like in a name for Mary Shelley, there is this alternate M, which has this nice swash that comes out from the M. In the same way with the S, there's this really nice alternate S that kind of overhangs over the baseline. So when you have that little blue line underneath, it's bringing up these alternate characters. And where it's grabbing these from is a menu called the Glyph panel. So if you go into Windows and you go into type, there's Glyphs right here. And I already have it open. So now if I look at Glyphs here, you can see all these alternates. So there's, if I go down, there's my alternate S. If you click on show up here, you can see the entire font, and then you can actually see that there's a lot more characters than you may have realized in that font. And this is where you can access all of these characters. Now, if you look over here, where these characters are combined, the TH, that's a ligature. So that's where you can find your ligatures. So SP is one. So here I can highlight the SP in the text and double click on that, and then I get that nice connection between the S and the P itself. So it's specifically designed, so it's a flourish in the font itself. It's something that you would almost see like on a, you know, like a wedding invitation, you know, some sort of announcement, something that is very formal. You know, it's very formal in its approach. So that right there is the ligature. And I think if you look in the unit, that terminology for the connecting thing, I think it's called like a gadzook for some reason, but the characteristics and the terminology for different parts of the pipe, sometimes that's called a gadzook. I don't know why, but if you look inside the unit, I have more terms for different parts of type. So here in the glyph palette, you find all of these variations. Another nice variation is the ampersand, and I think you can, let's see, different ampersands. These are really nice. You have different title cases, and here are your alternates with your different swooshes coming out of these characters. And then you even have you know, little dingbats as well, which are nice too. So the glyphs have all these additional features that you may not realize that belong to that font that you choose. Accented characters. And if you go here under show, you can see the differences. So here's all the swashes, stylistic sets. So these are different styles, and some of these are usually for different languages too. Alternates. So a lot of different variations. And then here is where you find your ligatures under standard ligatures. So most of these open type fonts have these ligature sets as part of the fonts. That's what's nice about open type. I think true type, you can only have so many characters in true type font. And then when open type was developed, you could have a lot more characters in the open type font. There's some interesting variations there as well. So there's a lot of things to explore. So when you're thinking about the design of what you're doing for that person that you pick, the historical reference, think about stylistically what you can add. If it's something that it should be more formal, then maybe you play with these ligatures, you know, and explore and see what you can find here that adds to the relevant historical meaning behind the image that you chose. You know, I always like to add these flourishes, especially if it's someone that holds a revered place in history. You know, adding the flourishes really add to the character of that person.